I just find it such a contorted war, and we all know that the battle lines were strange, and we know that it wasn't your traditional kind of way. I almost think that this music might have been a soothing and or a part of the reason, very important tool for a soldier there to regenerate, to give direction to. Would I be
Uh,
right in that?
Jim, I couldn't say it any better. That was sort of the impetus why we.
Recently lost possibly the best public relations boom in the world. And Bob, can you talk a little bit about how much he means to the city and the country as much as he does to the team? And I knew we knew each other in passing, but I think there's going to be a void, a true void. What are your thoughts?
No doubt there's a void. Um,
I think I read where you delivered 8,000 babies. Does that sound about right?
More like 5,000, over 5,000 babies already.
Really cool of you to come out here on such short notice. That must say a lot about your relationship with Santana.
Yeah, I'm always bailing this butt out, you know.
And that's what I try to do, Bob. I just figure, you know what? There's news and there's things, but if you can't approach it with some sense of humor, you know, you'll blow your brains out.
Absolutely. Yeah, my Wednesday interview.
Butch Cassidy or the Sundance Kid?
Sundance Kid.
All right. Clint Eastwood or Burt Reynolds?
Burt Reynolds, Florida State.
You know what? He was actually a very good actor. I can't figure it out. What do you think that is? Why would a man like me just fall in love with this film? I can watch it a few times a year, even more often. Do you get that a lot?
We do. I do. Like every
Well, you talk about your business changing. My business fell off 10 years ago, off a cliff, like a precipice, and nobody reads. And I have to truncate these to 3 minutes, or people will be, off in another direction. So what I'm trying to do is appeal to something fast. It's sad, but it's the way it is. I've been writing articles on the plight of farmers, and in those days they had the bullet train-ish looking one. Do you remember the one they introduced in the 76-ish?
There was sort of the turbo train.
I hear so much about being on the spectrum, which I think is still an evolving kind of thing in terms of what's inclusive. We have a friend whose son was, Asperger's. He's one of the smartest guys. They were bidding on his services to go to graduate school. And I've always thought about people being in a box. I think you referred to a speech about a box when you were in Norway. When you talk about the story, and I believe personally and unscientifically that we create our story very early and in that box. And for instance, my fears, my loves, or all my things are in that box. There's something about your music, I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm half Irish, half German, but I mean, I love Irish films, number one, and I can't figure out why. I just love the gentleness. Do you watch a lot of film?
I do. I watch a lot of.
Told me, could I help him out? And, as Packers, we always help each other out, so it's a great cause.
We were just talking about that. I mean, you've been out of the league at least a decade, right? How long have you been? Something like that. How does it feel to be so well received when a lot of cities guys leave? But do you feel a kinship, and is it nice to be embraced by these folks?
Oh, yeah. I mean, anytime I always say that Packer fans are the best fans in the world, regardless. And no matter if you were.
I just realized, Jim, we've met before. I think I booked you for Doug Steffens' Good Day program a couple years ago.
I remember. I did a few, but I remember Doug's time. I love Doug. I think he's really, really special. But yeah, that was me.
That's awesome.
We're standing in for and Michael tonight.
Look over your shoulder. It's so important to support this charity ball for the children of our fallen heroes.
As each day goes on, it gets better, a little better. You never forget about it, but you learn to live with it. And I can say that from losing my brother, Michael. I think that, the encounters I've had with him, he was always very kind. And like you said, you knew who you were dealing with. It's a Midwestern thing. You knew exactly who you had, and you never had to really question it. Just one more question. We grew up in the same era, roughly, and I often thought about sitting in the bleachers in County Stadium about 7:38 with the in between innings. There was such a I don't want to be corny, but like some kind of pastoral, beautiful scene sitting there with the sun setting, and
towards the cacophony of today, with all the, how do we work that in our minds? Could you ever foreseen that looking at the grass in between innings to all the stuff we have going around us now? I certainly couldn't have envisioned it, but then again, I didn't envision us to be able to do this. I thought this was a space age technology, but you know what I'm getting at, that we're dealing with apples and oranges now, and the same way in basketball, the same way in any sport. But I harken back with nostalgia to a lot of that, and I think a lot of us boomers do. And how do you, did you see it coming of that it would, to this grand scale, be such a high-tech world?
I don't think you could ever foresee where we are now 20, 30, 40 years ago, but I do.
Babies already.
Are you on a Christmas card list with most of them?
I have to tell you, I'm very for.
Dorn was a character that you didn't like right away, right? In Major League. And you wanted to do that, right? And talk to me, was that a conscious effort with him, and kind of segue into Major League, and how is it found when I talk to people, there's Bull Durham, there's Major League, but Major League seems to edge out Bull Durham. And I'm a little surprised in some ways because I don't see them as the same animal, if that makes sense. Do you know what I'm saying? And I see them as...
Yeah, no, I've always felt that it was strange to compare those two movies. I happen to love Bull Durham.
For an atypical charity event, although there's some speeches and things like that, it's a party. Right here, you can hear the Jacksons. Very few charity events bring in bands like Jacksons.
But she did the job. I mean, I didn't expect her to go into a Neil Peart, breakthrough, but she was sufficient for what he needed. He's not an idiot. And he knew
she was fantastic. I love Meg White. I love she played, and she played heavy.
I mean, she was a thumper.
Yeah, she's a badass, man. I always liked her. I always liked the way she played. And
you have basketball teams with the Bucks in the early 2000s that a couple players came in and I believe destroyed a chemistry. And I don't think it's thought of enough. We have football teams that bring in a free agent that just, doesn't jibe with them and can hurt them. I know you get a lot of questions about the Super Bowls, but do you think the kids today, it's amazing to call NFL players kids. I'm at that age where I can call them kids. Do you think they really get how special that is, and how, I know you were in 5 and you missed a 6 because of injury, but once is amazing. Do you think they really... Brady's an exception, but do you think they really understand the magnitude about very possibly not coming back again to that level?
Yeah, it all really boils down to,
for God's sake, why are you on the radio
I've always loved radio. When I was a little kid, I built Crystal Radio. Literally like 7 years old.
So 25 novels, the Edgar Allan Poe Award, TV series. So really, what the hell have you done with your life, really? Yeah. Greg Vaughn I talked to the other day, and he said something interesting. He said, my mindset was to go to the pros. I never had a mindset for the minors. And I'm not talking about, guys know they spend time in the minors, most of them, except Kidd. And do you know what he's saying there? That I was really amazed at that comment that he was going to the bigs and that was it.
Well, you got to have that mindset.
I have a favorite author of mine, Carl Hiaasen. You may
Sure.
know him. But he plugs the same kind of theme. He inserts new stories, but it's a Carl Hiaasen. If there were no title, or if there were no name on the cover, you'd know it was a Carl Hiaasen. Do you feel that way about your work? Do you put Joe in a bunch of comfortable, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but do you put him in situations where people could know this is Joe Pickett?
I think so, primarily. Yeah, I think definitely, because the character of Joe Pickett is a game warden, a Wyoming game warden.
I watched just a little of Stephanie, and she nails it. I think that if I ever ran for office, it'd be politics is a joke, and I have a great sense of humor. That's what I would run on,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she has some great mix, like you said, of Morning Zoo, but when you can laugh at something, you can really bring it home.
Yeah.
Just because you're laughing doesn't mean the message isn't, germane and severely pointed. And I like that. And it keeps you coming back. Nobody wants to hear somebody, pontificate or be dark like too newsy. And So I agree with you. I think, you know, to do that today, especially today, well, you and I both know that teachers are underappreciated in many respects. And I'm guilty. Before I met my wife, I didn't know what they did, but they take stuff home. Everyone's like, oh, they have summers off. And in Wisconsin, they vilified them with taking away the union, the right to work. You know, people are so myopic. Oh, you have summers off. You get off at 4. No, my wife comes home with paperwork till 8. She tutors in the summer. I know teachers who have 2 jobs because they can't make ends meet. And the myopic nature of so many people is frustrating. But you're right. Maybe I have a lot of concern for the future, but my wife says, you know, maybe a kid that born today will turn the tide and turn it back. And, you know, we are not, we believe in spirit and we believe in human nature, the goodness of human nature. And I hope that prevails, you know. If there is a supreme being that wants good things to happen, you know, I hope that. You know, everyone's familiar with the Leon Lett play, and I'm not going there just to remember it, but I watched it last night, and you didn't even look winded. How do you account for that?
I think adrenaline rush takes care of the windiness. But I mean, I was just, you know, you watch my reaction. I mean, everybody, it's become such a crazy, iconic play, which, you know, I never thought of that when it happened. I mean, I was just doing my job and
last night I was watching a new show on Max called The Pit, and it's a break off from the premise of ER. It's starring Noah Wiley, and we've been wanting to watch that. Now, we binged ER this summer, believe it or not, and that's 8 seasons, 20 up. I mean, we did it all, believe me, Jay. That's nuts. But I was so taken by the casting on that show that even the child actors were spot on, and a lot of them went on to become stars. I wanted to know, you know, that intangible, because again, that is such a gift. And I'm not saying I have a good instinct, but I do. I saw some young stars when they were young in something nominal, and I'm like, yep, it's that, I hate to say that it factor, but it is.
Yeah. But it exists. The it factor absolutely exists.
And some people see it and some people don't. You know, I could tell you the first film I saw, you know, Nicole Kidman, Reese Witherspoon, all those. It's just what clicked. It must have been hard having, I mean, Doug went to weekends, and was it just kind of a situation where you had to downsize, or it must be hard to leave a show with like that, or are you gone?
Well, so yes and no to both. It happened at a time that it was coming into the summer months. We were going to.
In some films, they find an audience later.
Well, you know, the one thing I can say is that
somebody that was sitting on the bench or somebody that played a great game or great years or whatever, Packer fans still love you no matter what. And that's the great thing about our team.
I'm really impressed with the way you have given back. And it seems a lot of you guys, like you said, do feel comfortable here.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, football's been great to me. It helped me take care of my family. And then in return, I like to try and give back the best way I can. And, you know, with the foundations that we do and the kids involved and a lot of different other things, it's great to give back. And that's what Santana is doing, and that's what I'm doing too.
How much did he say he'd pay you for this?
Well, he's going to owe me a couple drinks for sure. And maybe one of those old-time Gilbert burgers I used to eat.
You look like you've trimmed down a bit. Is that intentional, or are you just wasting away?
No, it's just a shirt, you know. Smokes and mirrors. I got everybody fooled in here. But, you know, TV never did me no justice, man. So,
well, I don't let anybody take.
The Living Statue started in probably around 2008. You know, we really admired White Stripes, and you know, it was right when the Black Keys were kind of rising to